Robert Collins, author of Greater Thoughts, is also a motivational speaker and a mind coach, helping you to untrap your mind. In order to elevate your team, your organization, or your business, visit Robert Collins on theuntrappedmind.com or follow him on Instagram at Greater7Thoughts. That's greater, the number 7 thoughts. Robert Collins says, all success starts with a thought. Now turn that thought into action and go be great.
Above the noise, let positivity reign. Each step I take, I conquer fear and pain. Greater thoughts echo through my mind. Uplifted, I soar, leaving shadows behind. Each word I speak, transforming my fate. In this untrapped mind, I am truly great.
Good morning, good morning. It is your host, Mr. RC. Once again, you have tuned into the Greater Thoughts Morning Show. And as I tell you every week, as I say, I was going to change it up, but I can't do it yet. It is my gratitude is with you. I know you could be doing anything in the world at 8 a.m. Eastern, well, 5 a.m. if you're in that Cali time zone, other than listening to me, but you chose to turn your radio, your Apple Music, and any other form of way that you're listening to WDRB Media to listen to Mr. RC this morning. Look, we're still in Black History Month. This is the second Thursday of Black History Month, and so I bring you guys another jewel, another piece of gold, since it's at an all-time high, to the radio today. Miss Zatea. How are you, Miss Zatea?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Miss Yisrael.
Yeah.
Yes, I love your name.
Thank you.
Listen, let me tell everybody, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's going to be everywhere. So I'm one of the first people. I know I'm not the first yet, but I'm one of the first to get her on the air to just talk about SISTAH magazine. If you are a woman, because it doesn't just have to be a Black woman when I say sister. Mm-hmm. Now, we talking to a lot of Black women out here, I see, in this magazine, but you don't have to be only a Black woman to be a sister. Am I right about that, Ms. Zatea?
That is true.
So Ms. Zatea is the founder, the starter, the beginning, and the end to SISTAH magazine. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. Just great to be in your presence today. And just so you could talk to the world with me about SISTAH magazine and all the wonderful things you're doing. And so first thing I want to ask you is, well, you know what? Let's start where everybody always likes to know. Where you from?
Okay, so this is contested. I'm from Charlotte, but I was born in Illinois. And I only say I'm from Charlotte because I've been in Charlotte long enough to also have young roots here as well. So okay. I'm from Charlotte, but also Illinois.
Illinois. So Illinois is a whole state? And okay. You're from a person that's from that state?
Rockford. I'm putting on for Rockford.
You putting on for Rockford?
Yeah, out of the places that I've been in Illinois, I'm putting on for Rockford.
All right, just north of the O'Hare Airport.
Yeah.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. Chicago, we accept everybody from around that area, you know. So you know,
that's all people think about when they think of Illinois. Chicago? No.
That's not your area. So you're from Charlotte, mm-hmm. Ultimately. How long have you been working on the SISTAH magazine?
So SISTAH magazine originally started as SISTAH Reclaim Your Image. And so this was a book that I developed, I would say about 2021. And just recently I decided that SISTAH Reclaim Your Image was more about, you know, my personal journey and then my personal discovery. But SISTAH magazine is for everybody. I felt like the common woman, especially the common Black woman, needs a place to really share her story. So it's fairly new. Yeah.
So since you say reclaiming, mm-hmm. that strikes a thought process for me. Reclaiming from what?
So I would say a distorted media presence in an image.
Oh, come on.
When you go to mainstream media or entertainment or what is, you know, put out to us, this isn't who we are completely. It is a piece of who we are, but it is our most animalistic forms often. So we get further from, if people believe in chakras and things like that, or the alignment, we get further from that kind of royal personification of who we are, and we go into more of an animalistic. behavior, which is why twerking is our main like media image. And
Yeah.
like it's bad. So that's the thing of reclaiming your image, which is also like, if you go biblically, what an image is, like, you shall have no, images before God, but you also have your own image. And so it's a spiritual aspect to that too. You need to reclaim really the God in you and what that is supposed to look like as a child of God. So
come on now, we're about to talk my language. You talking my language. Look, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about in this episode of Greater Thoughts with You. And one of the things that I'm gonna probably bounce around a little bit. So if I don't stay in order with you,
no, that's
just
fine.
forgive me, because I'm gonna just flow with it.
Absolutely.
As you give me different things, I have a list of questions that I like to go by. But if you listen to any of my episodes, that I don't follow it too well. I get right into what I'm thinking or what you say that triggers me. So there's something that's called hot to wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of hot to wholesome, I think of, Lil Wayne and them Hot Boys. That's the first.
Hot boy, yeah.
know. So I think of that now in a woman's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of women did the Hot Boys like?
Right.
Or what image?
Yeah.
Wholesome, I think of the Proverbs 31 woman when you speak biblically. So what does hot to wholesome really mean?
So
where did it come from too?
Well, everybody was a hot girl back in 2019. Megan Thee Stallion came out. Female rap was really up. Light-skinned Keisha, Megan Thee Stallion, Erica Banks, all these different Young Miami, City Girls. And so we took on, especially I was in college in 2019.
Okay.
We took on that persona of, I'm trying to say this without being vulgar. F these men and we hot girls, we running stuff. Oh, if he not giving money, he not even in my presence, stuff like that. We took on a very, I would say, bitchy perspective of Black womanhood and a very raunchy perspective of Black womanhood too. And so this is when like Megan Thee Stallion, she kind of ushered that in for the culture with, I'm a hot girl. Yeah, I'm a hot girl. I do hot-ish. Like, that's what it was. And so hot to wholesome really is reclaiming or transitioning out of just that, again, that animalistic lower energy of thought and identity into, okay, we are sensual women. As women, we are sensual, but that doesn't mean that we promote that sensuality through that hot girl lens. And so hot to wholesome is really going to discover femininity, creator feminine, on the actual terms of what it is versus just, again, what media is throwing out for us to look like and how to represent, which is, again, it's kind of tied up in caricatures as well. So then you get a little bit of that. In my book, Sister Reclaim Your Image, we talk a little bit about how, before it used to be the Mammy, the Mulatto, the Sapphire, and the Jezebel, and they were kind of all separate. But now, based on our media image, because we don't care about men, will be rape men, Sapphire, and they're not going to like this,
come on,
we submit to an oppressor's view or assimilating to whiteness and oppression in general. That's a Mammy archetype. We're very promiscuous, highly sexualized, hypersexualized. That's the Jezebel. And then again, they're gonna hate this. Our version of done up is a 613 wig, blonde wigs. Naturally, yes, Black people can have that, but you look at the majority, we don't, unless there's something in your genes. So then we're also taking on the identity and Western beauty standards like the mulatto. So they kind of are all morphed into one now. And I would say that morphing kind of is a hot girl, but just like our major media aesthetic in general.
You said a whole lot right there. Especially when, you start talking about that weave.
Yeah.
Start talking about that weave. There's a lot of women out here that love their weave.
Right. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with enhancements. I do think there's a spiritual significance about wearing somebody else's hair, which I wouldn't necessarily do. But I think it's more so about the type of enhancements you make. Are they the type of enhancements that literally enhance what you naturally have going on? Or is it the type of enhancement that looks completely opposite? Do you have to manipulate so much to get this enhancement naturally? And I think that's the difference. Like, weave is one thing. Again, I'm not wearing no human hair, but if you do, that's one thing. But what it looks like is also another thing, So
do you feel that your personal transformation has a lot to do with the way you're looking to shape and the way you have placed articles in the Sister magazine?
Um, yes and no. So I'm not necessarily trying to shape anyone. And when we get into the second book from Sister Reclaim Your Image and the From Hot to Wholesome, I am giving women the tools to think in a mathematical way. If I give this input, it's expected that I'll get this output. If I have these parameters, it's expected that I might attract these certain things. So I'm not necessarily trying to shape anything. I'm trying to give wisdom. I mean, I'm trying to give, I'm trying to give wisdom. I'm trying to give the ladies the tools to be able to have wisdom to know, just to have more agency without naivety. And so, yes, that is a bit of what goes on in Sister Magazine, but there's spaces for, so I'm Hebrew, there's spaces for Muslim women, there's spaces for Christian women, there's spaces for women that practice African spirituality. All of the content in Sister Magazine more so is just to push everyone towards a righteous image, whatever that looks like. We may have different gods, that's fine, um, but we have these same principles, and that is just about righteous behavior, moral behavior, community behavior, sisterhood behavior. And that also means that just because we are banding together in sisterhood, we don't go and target manhood either. We're not here to, bring one up to speed and then try to demean another. I don't work under that model. And that's also what I learned with studying Creator Feminine.
Creative feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking with a young lady that was on my show not too long ago, that she was looking at the creative feminine and the creative masculine.
Mm-hmm.
The divine masculines were actually
Right.
what she was saying. And very interesting, very interesting. And so I'd like you to, if you will, expound on the creative feminine in your thought process.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like to you? Not necessarily to the listener, but what does it look like to you?
Mm-hmm. So it really depends on, I would say, the book that you follow and what your spiritual or religious thing is. I try not to take my research from an emotional perspective. I try to just look at, like, this is what this book says, and I'm giving you a critical analysis of what this book says based on this topic. For From Hot to Wholesome and exploring that creator feminine and God is she, I went through the Bible and I got all the characteristics of how femininity is practiced, whether that be light feminine, dark feminine, good feminine, bad feminine, evil feminine. And I put all those things together. So it's really just analyzing and studying, what are the properties of God as she. People think that God is all love. God does have a lot of love, but God says, I create peace and I make evil. So there's a duality to God. And so studying creator feminine is studying the duality to God. How we were both made in the image is studying that we were both given dominion and rulership. We also have two different roles to make this whole ecosystem work and thrive. It's also that. So it's more so just like studying the femininity in God and how it should translate through you.
It's good, because I want to get on to God as she, as you bring her, she up. Yes. It is such a provocative but necessary conversation. Do you look at this, and this is good because I told you we're going to get into this. God as she.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that you think that God is a woman?
I think to reduce, well, a woman is a human.
Okay,
so
come on.
Think to reduce,
because this
God
is the conversation that
right.
people like to debate about, like,
right.
was God a man or is God a woman? So
right.
let's tell
and that's
us,
why I think it's so
right.
important, because in English, we don't have, like in other languages, like in Latin, that, or Spanish, really, I don't know.
Certain words have
right.
a different connotation.
The A is
yes.
feminine, the O is masculine.
Correct.
That is the same thing of, not obviously the A and the O, but that same personification happens in Hebrew, and a lot of the ancient languages and text. And so I don't want to reduce God to being woman or man. I want to look at the situation, like when God comes to Abraham and he's like, or she's like, I showed myself to Abraham by El Shaddai. If you go and research the etymology of El Shaddai, it really means the many-breasted one. And you can know this, or it's supported by this, because you really can't know anything, but it's supported by this, because every time El Shaddai comes up, it's talking about fertility, blessings, multiplication, things like that. And so I just think in that instance, God is talking about, I will multiply you. God is speaking in the feminine. In other instances, God is speaking in the masculine. God will also say, as a mother hen covers her chicks with her wings, that is God exhibiting in the feminine and talking about a maternal protector role. So I don't reduce God to woman or man because that's really to human. But I think God has both equal feminine and masculine properties. And we can see that just in spectrum duality. It's either good or evil, but they're on the same spectrum. You're either male or female, but you're kind of on the same spectrum. Light or dark, but you're on the same spectrum. I think it's the duality and the balance within the duality that is God.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's important because as you say, God is she. I know there's people that's listening like, what does that really mean?
Right. They get turned off by it.
It does.
Yeah.
And now that you've explained it, what I would love for you to do is share your social media handles so people can follow SISTAH Magazine in all its forms.
So if you want to follow SISTAH Magazine on anything, it's at SISTAH, not sister, but SISTAH, SISTAH Magazine. And you can find us anywhere. You can also find us on our website at www.sistahmagazine.com. And if you want to interact with me, you can find me at Jateya, really also on anything, ZHATEYAH.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Now you all go sign up, go find about SISTAH Magazine. Every single person that's listening, after the show is over, go look it up. I don't want to look them up right now. Y'all continue to stay locked in. There's a lot more with Mrs. Jateya. So, Mrs. Jateya, let me ask you this. What birthed this vision? When was it birthed, I should say?
I would say coming out of 2019. It really started with me, God taking me on my own journey. I knew as a young girl I was destined for a lot of greatness. Again, it's very loaded with this because, again, I just told you before, like, I just recently started going by Jateya instead of people calling me Taya or a nickname. There's a certain reclamation in that. When I looked up my name as I'm going through this process of awakening and I'm feeling depressed and dark, and I know that I need to go back to my light source and what I knew worked for me before. And I go through that and I'm going through the transformation. And not that I'm still, in the beginnings of the education with that, I've expanded and evolved, but I went back to go connect myself to God and connect myself to higher morality. And so with that, again, it was like, oh, I reclaim my image. I'm transforming from this hot girl to this more wholesome woman. And I feel like I went to two extremes. Again, it was like super provocative. Then it was like, all right, super homely. And I'm like, homely is just not my vibe. Like,
I know that's
it's not, but there's balance within it. And so that's really where it stemmed from, in just my own personal walk with God and me reclaiming, what God destined for me as a child and what I saw as a child when I would talk to God. And also me reclaiming my name, like me having to, you don't hear a name like Jateya anywhere. I'm going to be the first and probably the only person, unless I get famous and people start naming their kids after me or whatever.
You mean when you get famous?
I don't really care for fame.
It just comes with it just comes when you have SISTAH Magazine. It just comes. Eventually, everybody knows that you are the founder of SISTAH Magazine.
You're right.
You didn't have to look for it; it came to you.
Right. Yeah.
Your words.
God's will, not mine.
You said as a child, that you do the great things. You were destined for greatness, and that's
right.
That's part of it.
Right.
Fortunately, but unfortunately.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the bad parts of fame, right?
Right.
So, one thing that I always like to, make sure that I talk about is overcoming adversity.
Mm-hmm.
The show is Greater Thoughts.
Right.
So, what has been the greatest adversity you've had to overcome in this process?
So when I first came through my awakening, I started to align with certain people. God placed me really with celebrities, different things that I shouldn't have necessarily been in. Like, logically, it doesn't really make sense. And so we all started working on different projects to, like, again, increase the morality of humanity. With working on a lot of startups and working with different people, you quickly see, and I'm young, so I'm thinking about the best in people. I'm fresh out of college, COVID grad. You quickly see that people don't necessarily have your same vision of what this looks like. People steal, people lie. You see the depravity of man, really, in a lot of these works. And so that was very hard for me because I'm thinking we're all friends, we're sacrificing, I'm working so hard that I believe so much in this vision. I'm facing eviction. That's not smart, right? Because I'm putting my all into this vision, and people are stealing from the pot, acting as if we're all going through the same things, and we're not. It's just me. And also that was like a lot of my work that was stolen and abused and misused. And so I would say that put me in a pit of depression. I was like, I'm done with community building. I'm done with all this. Like I'm losing too much. But I'm so grateful for that because it helps me, one, not be manipulated anymore, at least not with those signs. I'm sure something else will come down the line. I'll have to expand and evolve again. But knowing the signs beforehand, and like grateful that you scammed me out of 20 versus it was 20 million.
That's real.
So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for those lessons, and also just God is like, go do the vision I told you to do. Period. But I'm also grateful for all the stuff I learned within that time too, just from a technical perspective. So I would say that was the biggest adversity because it really shot my mood. Like I had such dark energy, I would say, but I need to sit in that and to analyze what happened. Analyze, all right, this is where I went good. This is where I went wrong. So it wasn't real like true adversity because you can always come out on top.
What you mean? Somebody took a lot of money from you. That is true adversity.
Yeah, you're right.
That's real.
Yeah.
It's great to look back at that thing and know that, hey, I'm past it.
Right.
But at that time, that's a major adversity. A lot of people wouldn't know what to do with themselves if they lost a substantial amount of money like that.
Yeah.
And so, that is definitely an adversity. And thank you for sharing it.
Yeah,
so you talk about depression. So, we're right on the, or I guess not on the heels, but yeah, we're on the heels of, mental health awareness and all those types of things. How were you able to overcome the depression?
I sat in it. Truthfully, I sat in it. I had my bitterness. I was talking to God, like, why would you even let this happen? I went through all of that. And then I changed my perspective because I realized sitting in that wasn't going to do anything for me. I changed my perspective. I let myself rest. And I would say it was like that rebirth, that die period, and come back. I let myself die in a sense and just like sit there. And then when it was time to grow, I started those actions, reading, listening to more motivational things, going outside, stretching my body, smoking weed at the time, like, doing whatever
that you needed.
Yeah, doing whatever I needed. And then again, trying again. Because I knew just by the output and how well people received me and looked at me. And I realized that I was an inspiration to a lot of people. Now, was it the right environment for me to be that inspiration in? In some instances, maybe, but overall, no. And so I just realized again, it comes with the name. Do it again. And I also found a lot of parallel in reading scripture. Like, you know what? Yeah, this is my Joseph season. This is my Job season. Yeah.
That's
this
good.
Sucks. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Right.
And to say that you died to the things that were of your old way so you could become this new person. It's what we all have to do.
Right.
We can't allow the depression to sit on us instead of us sitting in it so we can come stand up and walk out of it.
Right.
A lot of us will let it sit on us and it's not going to go anywhere. And you have to die to your old ways, your old self, and to become the new person that you are.
Right.
For SISTAH Magazine, one thing that I like to know is, what's your favorite part about it?
Now my favorite part is just like the community. Because I was like, yeah, it's back to me building community. Like, and that again, SISTAH Magazine is new. So this was all just recent and like me being like, yeah, we're back out here and seeing how like women are like, my thing was posted. I'm putting people's stuff in magazines. I'm being able to like distribute like the glory and the wealth around. That is like, that's so meaningful to me. It really is. For a woman like my business is published in this directory. I'm distributing, I'm making, connections. I'm back in sisterhood. That's the best part. And to see that it's, scaling and it's like, God is like, yeah, because I told you, just go do what I told you to do. And I'm like, yeah, right.
Just be obedient.
Right.
And the sacrifices will be less.
Right.
So let me ask you, for those that are listening, if they want an article published in SISTAH Magazine, who do they contact? How do they contact you?
So if you wanted to be featured in SISTAH Magazine, you can email features@SISTAH Magazine, And if you wanted to say a production, because we're hosting conversations, we have digital content, we have physical print media, you can visit sistahmagazine.com/advertise, and you can also inquire there.
That's good. That's good. I don't want our show to end today without me getting into something that I think that's going to be a very interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
What conversations come up, arise around Black women that are really something that's afraid to be spoken or have publicly?
Are you saying in terms of like me saying maybe what I may know about Black women, or the conversation that we have amongst ourselves as Black women?
No. See, if it's amongst yourselves, it's not publicly.
Okay.
So we're not gonna twist that. We gotta go twist that. Yeah, that was real good. But I want you to know I was born at night, but not last night. No. What conversations are Black women afraid to have publicly?
I think a lot about their vulnerability.
Come on now.
And maybe where we have went wrong also, because it's so easy, like, and I see it all the time with like red pill and blue pill content, and just the flip of that too. It's so
The
easy
Matrix.
to always, yeah, but also like it's more so gender wars as well. And it's so easy to always point the blame. Like it's easy to say, yeah, he didn't protect me, so this is why I'm acting this way. It's easy to say, well, you know, I need X, Y, and Z. So it's easy. It's just easy to put a lot of the blame and the harm on your counterpart than it is to go at the system. And I think that's an issue that all of our people need to realize. Like, oh well, single parent. I was watching in a discussion the other day versus anti-feminist versus feminist. The children that single mothers raise, they're becoming YNs and things like that. It's so easy to point the blame on somebody else. It's like, well, why did the man leave? Well, you didn't do good while you stayed. Versus being like, great, that happened. Who made it so? Who made it so for it to even be like that? Even the conversations about colorism, where darker skinned women have been oppressed by lighter skin being in rule and in a closer proximity to whiteness. On the flip, lighter skinned women have also been oppressed by being in closer proximity to whiteness. It's easy to look at each other and be like, well, you didn't go through that. Mine was worse, versus saying, who made the system as such? For you to even, we all come from soil, and soil comes from a lot of different shades of brown. None are more elite than the other. But who made it so that you would hate your light-skinned sister? Who made it so that you would hate your dark-skinned sister and dark-skinned brother? Who made it that you are making light-skinned men effeminate? And who made it that you are making dark-skinned women more masculine? Don't look at it. Don't look at each other. They may be conduits of the oppression, but who started the oppression in the first place? And I think that's a really big conversation that not only Black women are afraid to have, but just us as a community, truthfully.
You jumped into one thing, and I like to just ask you about it. Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard when you first started speaking about it. How do you feel that women, let's not put it on Black women, how do you feel that women or versus men deal with accountability when you talk about that?
I think they both run away from it. And I think we also don't study each other enough to be able to know, like, we really do think differently. They say that men are logical. I don't think men are necessarily logical. I think men are linear. And I think women are more complex in their thinking. So obviously that's two different like frameworks of how things, operate. We also are raised differently. So we have two different outlooks and practices on how we even address situations. I think both shy away from it. Again, because it's just easier to put the blame on. So I think as a whole, at least in media, I would say, because media is also propaganda, like a lot of Black people, women and men in general, are working well with each other and trying. So I think people are just shying away from accountability overall.
Well, let me tell you this. As listeners, I'm about to hold you all accountable. Make sure that you pick up your internet copy, get you a paper copy, Get every copy you can of SISTAH Magazine. Today we had Zatea Israel on, and she has told you about her mindset, thoughts, beliefs, as well as the vision behind SISTAH Magazine. And Ms. Zatea, I am greatly appreciative to be in the room with you. But before we leave, I must remind you one thing.
What is that?
All success starts with a thought. Take those thoughts, turn them into action, and go be great. God bless. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
In the silence of the night, when doubt creeps in, I hear that whispering voice pulling me from within. The way